And I think too for like the girls trips that we do, again, just because we're like midlife, we're not like bougie by any means. I think it's more about we are all so busy and we try to do good between you and myself and our other friend Amanda to just like pick a day and commit to it. And then we start doing outreach to our friends and like who wants to join. And as they agree, they join the group chat and we
Mhm.
start adding up how many rooms we need and book more as it's needed. But we're like super not that fancy. Like I have slept many times on that couch bed or a rollaway cot. And I guess that's in my midlife. I'm like, whatever. I don't care what anybody else is thinking because we're just staying there for the night, sharing meals. So it's like, I got drinks tonight, so you get the dinners and we like balance it out. Or it can be really, it's possible, but the most important thing is just to get it on the calendar. Welcome to A Holistic Dose. We've been through the plot twists, divorce, parenting, burnout, reinvention, and now we're doing midlife with way more honesty and way less BS. Think of us as your unfiltered friends, here to remind you that you're not too late, too old, or too far behind. I'm Tiffany.
And I'm Jeanette.
And so today we're going to be talking about how you actually take a vacation, even though you're super busy as a parent or running a business, or you might be on a budget.
Yeah, absolutely. Vacation is something that I have always prioritized. Like if I have to choose between a big house and vacation, or vacation is very high priority for me.
I'm wondering, did that come from like your upbringing?
Yeah, so we traveled a lot when I was growing up and we camped. I mean, it was not fancy travel. We had an RV and an SUV and we would pull the RV like all over the country. So we did the
Wow.
Grand Canyon, we did Colorado. We had one summer where we took a whole month. My mom quit her job and my dad
Really?
had my mom was a nurse and so it was really easy to find jobs. And so my dad had like 4 weeks of PTO saved up and was able to
Wow.
take them all at the same time. Over a summer break, my mom quit her job and my dad took off 4 weeks of PTO and we drove out to the Grand Canyon and then we did like Mount Rushmore and just a,
Wow.
a big out west trip. So
Huh.
yeah, travel was a huge part of growing up, but not fancy travel. And where else did we go? We did a lot of camping in Florida since that's nearby.
Mhm.
We did now this one wasn't camping, but we did Alaska twice.
Okay.
So yeah, lots of not international, but lots of travel within the US.
Yeah, I think we didn't really do a lot of traveling at all. My mom was mostly a single parent growing up and with two sisters. So our trips were mostly, we lived in New York up until like I was 10 years old. We would drive down to South Florida and my grandfather then had some rental properties and we would go down there, but actually to tell you the truth, before we moved down there, we didn't really travel. Actually, my mom took us to Jamaica twice.
Okay.
That was really, like, ambitious of her because she was a single mom, but we went to, one of those all-inclusive resorts,
Mhm.
and it was the best time ever. My sisters and I hung out, and we ordered, like, virgin strawberry daiquiris. We had no idea what it was, but aside from that, no, we didn't really go anywhere because then once you move to South Florida, then it's kinda like you're on vacation all the time almost, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe that's more the excuse, I don't know.
Yeah. So now as an adult, how have you handled travel and vacations?
It's to tell you the truth, I only started getting better about it over the last several years, like
Really?
hanging out with you and your family and being a single mom now and realizing that Gabby is gonna be 15 next month. Ugh.
Yeah.
She grows up so fast, and now she's at an age where it's cool, we wanna hang out, and I'm like, "Let's just do some fun things," 'cause
Yeah.
she keeps reminding me that in 3 years, she's gonna be gone, and that time is past, so but I would say that when I was married, we didn't take the time for vacation even before we had her. We just
Really?
anytime no, we didn't. We basically went on our honeymoon, and then we had her, and then anytime it was like when we moved to Atlanta, going back down to South Florida, that's not family vacation. Like,
Yeah.
going to see family down there,
That's not the
that's
same.
we did Christmas, and then we took a couple trips when we had her to, like, Myrtle Beach or something, but
Yeah.
it wasn't really getting on the plane and going anywhere, so
Yeah. Yeah, so something I've done even early in my career, like when I was a brand new lawyer and only had 2 weeks off, I
Mhm.
would combine PTO with holidays, and so
Yeah.
what even with only 2 weeks off, it would feel like I had a lot more time off when,
Mhm.
I would turn a 3-day weekend into 4 or 5 days, and I one time, I was broke and really until I was, like, in my mid to late 30s. One time in my marriage to Kelly, we did the thing where you would sit through a timeshare presentation.
I did that with my ex-husband too
Like,
in
I'm
Vegas.
always am, like, looking for deals and, how can we afford, like, the most bang for our buck? So, yeah, we went to the Dominican Republic, and I
Uh-huh.
think we did 5 days, 4 nights, and it was crazy. It was maybe $300 to $500, and that
Wow.
covered the all-inclusive resort,
Oh my god.
and then we had to pay for flights, and then sit through a timeshare presentation, and we did, but it was fantastic, and it was absolutely worth it to sit through that presentation to get that trip, and then I'm
I've
trying to
never
think.
I've never gotten a trip out of those. I've only gotten where, like, once we were in Vegas, we got, like, free show tickets. So, I
Yeah.
would have much more preferred a full vacation. That would have been
Yeah,
worth
I don't
it.
even remember how I found out about it, and this was such a long time ago, but yeah, that was great, yeah, even before I really had a travel budget, I would still do girls trips, and girls trips are nice because you all get into the same hotel room, and it's so much cheaper to.
Remember that time? So, we took a girls' trip for, like, right when you got divorced, and was that
Yes, to New York, right?
I think I was still married, maybe or no, I wasn't. I wasn't married anymore because I was trying to go on a lot of Tinder dates in New York City. I remember that. But we stayed in this tiny, tiny hotel that was like
Yes.
it was
It
like
was called the Jane, and
yes,
I would stay there again just for the nostalgia of
totally.
it.
It was so fun.
Yeah, it was so much fun. These hotel rooms, it's like nothing I had ever seen before. It was the smallest hotel room. It had a bunk bed and then.
But like not a tradition like a really slim single.
Yes. Yeah, the tiniest rooms, but it was great. It was in a great location. I think it was was that area called Chelsea, or it was in a really great area, and it felt safe,
Yeah.
and it was clean, shared bathroom, so it's not like you had your own
It was a
bathroom. It was you
community bathroom, but to give people a picture of this, like how like we were so like budget friendly, really, you walk into the room and there's enough room for the width of the room for your walking area to roll your suitcase in one direction.
Yes, and a little carry-on suitcase. Like, you could take your
Yes.
arms and touch both walls.
And then it was like the slim bunk bed with ladder up, and each person had a TV. Because I remember, because I slept on top and you on bottom, and that was it. And then you went to the communal bathroom. I remember like going in after taking a shower, coming out of the shower, and like brushing my teeth. And there's this dude that comes in his robe. I'm like, hello, this is kind of interesting.
But it's such
So
a
much
fun
fun.
experience, even when you're traveling on a budget to do
And we
something
were like
crazy like
drinking a
that.
lot, and we would just camp out and during the day and
Yeah.
crash. It was like whatever.
Yeah, and that place, remember the nightclub on the first
It
floor?
was
And it was
amazing.
so much fun. Yeah, we would come back and, like, go dancing in that nightclub and then go crash in our bunk bed, and that was fantastic.
I
And
loved it.
I did another trip, and it was to Miami and this was after Logan was born, and so that was when I was a broke single mom, and I stayed at a hostel. I had never stayed at a hostel before.
The Jane was pretty much considered the hostel.
Yeah, it was kinda
It
like
was like a
that, and
nicer, more
it was weird as far as, like, where you slept. It was one giant room with bunk beds, and you
I
were
don't
just.
know that I'd be able to do that.
It was
I
weird, and
don't know.
you're assigned your bunk, and then there was, like, a drawer underneath your bunk that locked, and so that part
Was
was
it like
different.
men and women in the same
Oh,
room
yeah,
too?
like, just all yeah, yeah,
And you
but
have to deal
it
with
was
like
clean,
snoring.
and, I always had kinda pictured hostels as, like, dirty and, like, weird people. It wasn't, like, the people there were interesting, and
Mhm.
it had, like, this amazing rooftop pool, and that was, like, the draw of it. It was in South Beach. I was right on South Beach with an
Oh,
amazing rooftop pool, and it was cheap.
I remember you talked about that.
Yeah,
I
so, I mean, would I
remember.
do that again? Probably not.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, let's talk about I feel like midlife, we should redefine like what is a vacation, honestly, now. And I think we all have these ideas about like it needs to be something crazy, like you have to be going to like Bora Bora or this amazing ski resort or something. But really just you need to practice the time for yourself. And
Yeah, and for me, it's about taking the time off, just away from the hustle and bustle, and also making memories.
yeah,
And I've planned, and we've done some really cool family vacations. Like one of our favorite vacations. I mean, it sounds kind of silly because my so I have my son, and then I have two stepdaughters, and my stepdaughter's mom does really nice vacations with them. Like, they've
fancy.
gone to Greece, and they've done, like, Greece and Sweden and these really nice things, and then, like, they go from going to Greece to we go to Pigeon Forge. But they have a blast. So, one of our best family trips, we did Pigeon Forge, Maggie Valley, and Asheville. And, like, just, like, 3 different stops. In Maggie Valley, I think that's
Where's
where
Maggie Valley?
it's North Carolina, and
Okay.
it's, like, one of the coolest things we did there was we went hiking, and there were caribou. Were they caribou or
Mm,
elk? I don't know the difference. They're
hmm.
big animals. But the kids were, like, playing in a stream, and there's these I think they're elk just roaming around, and it was just so beautiful. And then we stayed on a buffalo farm. It was an Airbnb, and we
Wow,
rented a train car on a buffalo farm, and you, like, lay in your bed, and you're looking out your window, and you see buffalo roaming around,
that's cool.
and then you can go feed the buffalo, and the kids were oh, how old were they at this point? And I think that our oldest might have been 6th grade, if
Okay,
even that. So it was like elementary school kids, I think.
that's
And
perfect.
so yeah, like, "Hey, let's go feed buffalo," and there
Yeah.
were goats, and let's play with the goats, and then we did Pigeon Forge, and they thought I mean, I don't think Pigeon Forge is great, but the kids did.
I still
And
wanna take Abby to that and, like, Dollywood and all that. It looks fun.
yeah. Yeah, they had so much fun. We went to a comedy show, and they just cracked up the whole time, and
Mm.
then we did, some place where they ran around with these magic wands that would, like, open doors and solve spells and stuff, and they
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. That is,
I think something
Great Wolf
Quest.
no, it's Great Wolf Lodge.
No, it was so it's they have that at Great Wolf Lodge, but yeah, this was in
Oh.
Pigeon Forge.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just some, like, I don't know, something Quest place, and you
Yeah.
pay way too much money. But yeah, like, it was a blast, and then the 3rd part of the trip, Asheville, we did rock climbing, like, indoor rock
Mm.
climbing, which they thought was so much fun, and then we did, whitewater kayaking, which was everyone just thought it was so much fun. And, this was like we stayed at, like, cheap little Airbnbs and hotels and made memories and just had an amazing time.
I love all those ideas. I think before even my mind gets to that, I would say I only just started taking the vacations a lot because I was working the typical corporate grind for so
Yeah.
long. And if I could look back and I have some major regrets, it's not taking my vacation time. I can't tell you how many times like you 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 spend your whole life in your career like, "Oh my god, until I get the 4 full weeks off plus the other days and everything." And then you're like, you don't take it and you feel like you
Mhm.
can't take it. And some of the things that I think we all deal with is like the pressure that we
Yeah.
can't shut off. And now we're not only like people are not just texting us and calling us and emailing us at so many emails, but then there's Slack and there's
Yeah.
social media and it's so much. And then we have to worry about like, can we afford this? And thinking about like, gosh, I have so much work on my plate and then I'm going to come back, especially those who are entrepreneurs too, and the load's going to be that much greater. Like, how do you handle that in preparation? Because I know we're going on vacation next week and I always like do some work, but I've gotten better disconnecting. But how do you try to prepare beforehand?
Yeah, so before I was a business owner, it was easier being at, a company that had, like, other people who could cover, and so I'd always make
Mhm.
sure I did, like, certain checklists, and I had people covering certain things, and so I could just go with peace of mind and completely check out. It's harder now, and my plan is to get to where I can completely check out, but at the size that my business is, it's real I don't wanna say impossible, but it's really hard to completely check out. So, I mean, right now, I do pretty much do a little bit of work even on vacations, and there's no way I won't have my laptop with me when we're in Key Largo,
For sure.
but, I still do as much as I can to make sure things are handled while I'm out, but yeah, I think just, like, planning ahead of time, delegating, and, delegating and knowing that there's someone in the office who's going to reach out to you if there's something that really needs to be addressed.
Has to be. Yeah.
Yeah, otherwise, like, turning it off and
Yeah.
just not letting yourself get sucked into the work.
I think a lot of that is also it comes from creating a culture. So like if you treat your employees with the same way, then they will respect you in that same way too.
Yeah,
I tried to be really good this week when my right hand was away and it's I want to make sure that I'm showing that too so that I can get the same in return. But I think oftentimes, just like a lot of companies, they don't do that. And there
yeah,
wasn't a time with the company I was at before that for like over 2 years it was always deadline and due. But at the same time, like, can you guys, like, this just seems to happen every single time I'm out, like, and it adds
yeah,
so much stress to me. It's not fair. So I think as
mhm.
for those of us who have the ability to be managers, just try to practice that because
Yeah, for sure. And I definitely try that. I am my paralegal. So right now I only have like one main paralegal. And that's something on her last trip. I was like, okay, I'm really going to do everything I can to not bug you. And I don't think I did. So that made me happy because I want people to be able to unplug
yeah, it's
and,
so important.
only if there's an emergency or something where it's like this has to be addressed now and I need a quick answer to be able to do it. But yeah, I agree. And then it's so hard too now that we're just so connected. Like
Mhm.
last year, so the way I typically do vacations now is we typically do one that's a couples trip, me and Jeff. And it's easier, like, as a blended family, our kids go to another parent. I think it's harder when you're an intact family and you have your kids all the time, right? And how do you
Yeah.
go on vacation and leave the
Not
kids?
saying that being divorced is the best case scenario, but that's the
Yeah,
perk.
it is one perk. So, Jeff and I, now that I'm remarried, like we can go on a vacation that's just the two of us. And so we do that once a year and then we do like one kid vacation a year. And last year our big vacation was Alaska, and it was the longest vacation I've ever taken. Other than when I was a kid, but as an
Mhm.
adult. So it was 14 days, which I've
Wow.
never done as an adult 14
I've
days.
never done even more than 5, except at the last one, we
Wow.
went to the beach with you, and I was like, "Okay, we're gonna stay." But
Yeah.
it was only on my honeymoon ever. I get, like, antsy, but also we just hadn't I haven't prioritized myself,
Yeah.
honestly.
Yeah, and so with Alaska and really there was so much to do that we really
Mhm.
did need that 14 days, and then 2 of them, it was 12 days of doing stuff and then 2 days that were just completely filled with travel.
Oh,
But,
'cause it takes the
my
time to
parents, so
get there.
we stayed in an Airstream. I mean, this is not a fancy Alaska trip. We stayed with my parents in an Airstream, but they have Starlink, and that was fantastic. So what I did was there were 2 days during the trip, like 1 day of each of the weeks where I was like, this is gonna be a day where I log in, I handle stuff.
Oh,
I even met with my team, and that worked really well for it's such a long vacation to be
be
able to
disconnected.
check in. But at the same time, like, you don't wanna be too connected, and,
Right.
really with Alaska, like, there were a lot of times where our cell phones didn't even work, like, when we were out on excursions and stuff, and I think that's good too, like, if you have
Yeah.
trouble disconnecting, to purposely go somewhere that is going to be hard to have internet connection and connect.
Yeah.
Another trip Jeff and I did was we scuba dive, and
Mhm.
it's called a liveaboard, where you just stay on this small boat and you dive like 3-4 times a day. And so we
Wow.
did a trip in the Bahamas on a liveaboard, and we did not have any cell connection, internet for about 5 days. And I wasn't self-employed, but I told my office, I'm like, I am not going to be available. So just figure it out.
I think that's kind of what you have to do at that point. So let's talk about budget, right? So how are you budgeting for this stuff? Like only I started doing this, like, and some people would say, like, if you start booking and paying for your things in advance, then by the time the travel comes, it's like it's
That's
free,
what
but it's not.
that's well, that's what actually is best for me. So I never save up ahead of time for it. I don't I think that for our girls' trips yeah, I think that I have for girls' trips because, those I'm able to just, like, drip a little bit into an account and,
Mhm.
do it that way, but otherwise, I've never saved up for them.
Yeah.
But what has worked best for me for the bigger trips is booking it far out. Like,
Yeah.
okay, like, we can afford book the plane trips right now and then book
Mhm.
the hotel and, pay for these things, pay for the diving, and if
Yeah.
you book it, 6 months out, then we
It
don't
doesn't
feel
hurt as
it
much.
as much when
Yeah.
we get to the travel.
And I think too for like the girls trips that we do, again, just because we're like midlife, we're not like bougie by any means. I think it's more about we are all so busy and we try to do good between you and myself and our other friend Amanda to just like pick a day and commit to it. And then we start doing outreach to our friends and like who wants to join. And as they agree, they join the group chat and we
Mhm.
start adding up how many rooms we need and book more as it's needed. But we're like super not that fancy. Like I
Mhm.
have slept many times on that couch bed or a rollaway cot and I don't
Yeah.
care. And I guess that's in my midlife. I'm like, whatever. I don't care what anybody else is thinking because we're just staying there for the night and we're
Yeah.
oftentimes sharing meals. So it's like, I got drinks tonight. So you get the dinners and we like balance it out or, it can be really, it's possible. But the most important thing is just to get it on the calendar.
Yeah, absolutely. When I think this is around when I first met Jeff because he ended up coming on the trip. But I was just putting off any real vacations because I was broke, and I really was pretty broke.
Yeah.
I had started a law firm and
Oh, right.
just it was not getting clients, like, I couldn't figure out the marketing, and I was struggling. But I also hadn't been on, like, a real vacation for a while,
Yeah.
and so and this is kinda crazy, but I did it. I was like, "I am booking a big trip, like something bucket list type of trip," and I booked
Mhm.
it far in advance because I was like, "Even though I'm broke, I'll be able to plan this," and
Yeah.
I booked Peru.
Wait, you went to Peru?
Yes, so
I
I
didn't know
booked
this.
a trip to Peru, and then I ended up meeting Jeff and telling him, "I already have this trip to Peru booked, so
Uh-huh.
either I'm going without you or you can come with me." Jeff
Uh-huh.
had never been out of the country, which blows my
What?
mind, like, how have you never been out of the country? He had never been
Yeah.
out of the country, and so his first out of country trip ever was to Peru.
Oh my
Yeah, it was
God.
amazing. So we
A
did
tarot
a
reader's
little bit
trying
of
to
time are you looking at the live? We did a little bit of time in Lima, and then we went to, oh, what is it called? Like, the place near Machu Picchu, Cusco, a little
Mm.
town, and then we did Machu Picchu, which
Oh
is
my
kind of
gosh.
big bucket list Peru thing, but it was absolutely
So how
amazing.
did you guys handle being, like, newly dating, like, the costs and everything for that? You just
Oh, let's see. So he when I'd booked it and I had not booked time in Lima. I think
Mhm.
I just had like an overnight in Lima and then I was gonna keep going because my thing was I wanted to see Machu Picchu. And
Right.
so he really wanted to change it and spend more time in Lima. So
Mhm.
he ended up paying to change my ticket to spend more time in Lima. And then I think we just split the hotel. I mean, honestly, I don't really remember.
Mhm.
But and in Peru, things are really cheap. Like the hotels, you can stay in a
Wow,
pretty decent hotel for I wanna say it was like $100, $125,
that's awesome.
nothing like crazy expensive. And we were my vacations tend to be they vary, but a lot of my vacations, especially the bigger ones like Peru,
Mhm.
Alaska, we did Paris and Bordeaux, France. Those I want to see a lot of things.
Yeah.
So we're on the go. Like I'm not going to fly all the way to South America and lay by a pool. So
Mhm.
I don't care about staying at a fancy hotel. I just need a comfortable, safe place to sleep. And then I want to go experience things.
Mhm.
So I mean, it really was not even that expensive of a trip.
Okay. But if you can't afford to go international, like, some people can't, so let's talk about some of the more, like, almost if you could say it's like vacation light ideas, right? So have you
Yeah.
heard about this, like, resort pass thing where if you live just in any big
Mhm.
city where you can book a local pool at a hotel and
Yeah,
go for the day.
yeah.
Mhm.
Something I did was staycations where, I guess it's considered a staycation if you're still in the same city, but
Mhm.
I would go on to Priceline and I would book, like, a four-star hotel in Atlanta for a night, and I could get something for, like, 75 bucks, and I would a lot of times I would end up at the Intercontinental in Buckhead.
That's amazing, and that's a great tip. If you do it when they're off season, they need
Yes,
to fill those rooms, and they're more willing to
yes.
give you a better discount.
Yeah, so I've stayed at the Intercontinental in Buckhead, and then I've
Did you
gotten
do that with the kids?
No, I've never done that with the kids. I've
Okay.
always just, like, done it on my own or
Good
if I
for
was, like,
you.
dating someone. Yeah,
You've
I mean,
been
I'm
way
just
more
like
places than me. I need to level up.
it was so nice. So I really I didn't have much money, but yeah, it was like 75, 100 bucks,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I would go stay a night at this fancy hotel and, you know, go lay at the pool and watch TV, and it just felt nice.
And they usually offer, like, discounts at their dining partners too during that
Mhm.
time, or they'll comp you things too. It's pretty nice. So one thing I love, our other friend Amanda, who she's come up with some really fun ideas, or she just, single mom takes her 3 kids on these trips, but she took her daughter recently to Vegas, and I was like, and she's 16 now, I think, or almost
Yes,
17,
yeah,
yeah.
or about to turn
And
16.
yeah, and at first I was like, but then when she told me everything she did, I was like, I'm booking. So I booked it for Gabby and I. She took her to see Bruno Mars at, the MGM. It's the one that's
That'll
not
be
smoking.
so fun.
Yeah, and I guess end of September I'm going or something like that. I think it is, or but no, beginning. Yeah, um, for like Labor Day weekend, and then she went to like the, uh what is it, the Hell's Kitchen restaurant, and
Mhm.
went to some shows, and then you get to hang out at the pool and shopping and everything, and it's just like all in one in a contained space. So
Yeah.
that one may not
Yeah.
be a cheaper one, but there's a lot of like interesting kind of things to do there, and it's not for all ages, of course.
Yeah, yeah. As a single mom, I did a trip with Logan to New York. My mom came on that one, so it was the 3 of us,
I
and
did too.
that was a
Mhm.
blast. Just little kids, like, their mind is so easily blown, right? So,
Mhm.
seeing a little kid see the Statue of Liberty and,
Yeah.
oh, the 9/11 museum, seeing him learn about that because, we
Mhm.
lived through it, and so
Yep.
watching how he just was so shocked and reacted to that was very
Wow.
moving, and that was a cool trip, and then, something else you can do is if you have friends who live other places, so Amanda lived in Alexandria, Virginia for a long
Mhm.
time. And so I took Logan a couple times to go visit her, and one time I did make a vacation of it. So Amanda would drop us off at, I don't know what they call it, the metro or whatever the train station
Yeah.
is. Like, she'd
Uh-huh.
go into work, drop us off, and then Logan and I went exploring DC,
That's
and
awesome.
it was so much fun, and it was super cheap because I think, like, the museums there are free, and, we're crashing with
Mm.
Amanda, so it was very inexpensive doing it that way.
Yeah.
And then also getting creative with Airbnb,
Yes.
and so one time I found a room in a yoga studio in St. Augustine, Florida, and the way I found it was I think it was a holiday weekend and all the hotels were astronomically expensive.
So you rented
And
a room in the studio?
yes, I think it
Oh
was
my god.
listed on Airbnb or Vrbo, and it was really inexpensive, but it's
Mhm.
because it was like this super basic room. I was just like an IKEA bed, and then there was a bathroom, and then it's attached to a giant yoga studio.
But the
But
kids think that's, like, the coolest adventure ever.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so just getting creative and looking at Airbnb and seeing what you can find.
Yeah, there's so many things. I mean, even, like, if you had to just stay in town, you could even just do sleepover, friend swap's house. I don't know. You can
Find
get really
camping.
creative.
Like,
Mhm.
something Jeff and I did when we were dating is we went to a state park in Florida. It was in Destin, and it was
Mhm.
I don't think it had a lagoon. It wasn't on the beach, but we took a tent. So we pitched a tent.
Wow.
It was in, like, the late fall, I think, so when it was
Mhm.
warm enough to still swim, but not miserably hot, and that was really cheap because it was, a
Yeah.
state park camping, and the kids had so much fun.
Yeah, I remember when, so it was like, I think it was last year that I booked to take Gabby and her couple of best friends to the beach in Florida.
Yeah.
And then you came and joined for a little bit.
Mhm.
The best thing for them was the fact that that house had bikes. Like, who
Yeah.
knew? Because we live in Atlanta and they don't have their own bikes that they're riding every day now. But the fact that they got to ride these bikes and feel like they got to ride around to go to the little coffee shop and down to the
Mhm.
beach and just around the neighborhood. That was the best thing. Like, we didn't need to go really do anything else besides that and hang out at the
Yeah.
beach too. So little things like that, you just never think like they all of a sudden become kids again. Like a lot of those places have board games there and doing family game night or plan
Mhm.
like a cool picnic and just getting creative with that. I think what's a cool hack that I've heard a lot about too is, and I want to make sure people know, is use Chat GPT.
Yeah.
I've heard people say that and I haven't tried it myself, but I plan on. So maybe this is a good activity for people to try. Just go into Chat GPT, be like, I have these types of family members in my house. Maybe somebody doesn't like seafood, somebody does. I have this budget. I want to stay in this area. Plan me something. And it
Mhm.
literally will. You can say, I'm going to Chicago and we're going to be staying at this hotel. Map me something and include this, this, and this, but not this. And it's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yes, I think people just need to not, one, compare themselves to the people doing these really fancy trips and posting all
Agree.
over, like, Facebook and stuff.
'Cause it's usually fake, super fake,
Yeah.
fake Facebook.
Yeah, like, you can have an amazing time and really see a lot and do a lot with something that's simple. Like, simplicity is a good thing, and just the time together, and like you said, the board games and, riding bikes around, hanging out, that's all
Yeah.
fantastic.
I think, like, an amazing takeaway too is, like, rest isn't a reward. It's, like, it's just part of the work, right? So if you don't come back and be fully recharged, you're gonna have an even bigger setback, whether that's your own business owner or you're working for a company, because I experienced that this week, even myself, with my second bout of vertigo. I'm not taking great care
Yeah.
of myself, and then you're out and you can't function, and it's way
Mhm.
worse. So, it's not something that you are like or you just need to take the time for yourself. So, I think a couple of steps I feel like in how to make it happen because people talk about it and they say, "Oh, I'm going to do it," and then they don't
Mhm.
get it on the calendar.
Yeah, just book it. And that was like the thing with Peru. Like, even though I really probably shouldn't have spent the money on Peru at where I was at in my life,
Yeah.
I zero regrets. I am so glad I did it because it's so easy to just keep putting something like that off. I can't afford it. I can't afford I don't have time. And you just have to put it on the calendar. Be
Mhm.
reasonable. Don't, book a $20,000 trip if you don't have $20,000, but put it on your calendar, put it far out. I mean, that was the big thing for me with even Peru is if you put it far enough out,
Mhm.
put a little bit away, you can figure it out. Pay as you go.
Another big tip of mine that I do is, and because we live in Atlanta and Delta's based here, I have a Delta credit card, and I put all as many bills as I can on that credit card, and I pay in full, pay in full. You just have to be careful to make sure you're paying in full
Yeah.
to get those points. And then I have another credit card that has the Southwest points too, because I just hate paying for plane tickets, especially when you do have to go visit family, and then you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I have to use this on those, but I wanna take the vacation." But with the Delta one, like, I get a free companion ticket to take Gabby once a year, so, like, that'll be what we use to go to Vegas.
Yeah.
So, getting points for travel, that's, like, make sure you're signing up and doing all those things.
Yeah, and if you are going to fly, I think that's how I picked Peru was I think I had like 5 different places. I checked flight prices and it was like a great deal to Peru, and so I was like, "All right, doing Peru this time." So just keeping an eye on fares. So our
Yeah.
family of 5, we've never flown together. We have never had a vacation where we have flown. I've gone on trips with Logan, like we've done New York and DC, and
Yeah.
I've sent him to visit his grandparents. But this is our first time going to Key Largo that we've ever flown as a family, and
Well, technically, you guys aren't flying there together as a family
no, we're
because
flying back as a family.
I'm back because I'm flying with you and Gabby there, and then the other half
And that
are
is
behind
something
for
that,
sports.
when you have several kids
Blended
and
families.
they're involved, even if not without blended families, just kids with activities. So,
Mhm.
we have Autumn who does the competitive volleyball, and that went all the way through June. And then Logan had his summer camp in July. Then Ava has a theater camp. And it's like, yeah, so that's why we're not flying down together. Jeff and Ava are coming a day later, and it is what it is.
Yeah. Just you got to make it happen. So
Yeah.
I think the last takeaway tip before we close out here is in regards to vacations and everything, lower the bar. Like you were saying,
Mhm.
like it doesn't have to be that perfect Instagrammable moment, and who cares? Because nobody's going to remember those things, but your family and your family members, the kids and everything, they will. And take the pictures and document it, but whether you post it or not, like who cares? That's just
Mhm.
your memories for yourself. So get it on the calendar and make sure you tell us about it because we want to know. We want more ideas for ourselves too.
For
So.
sure.
Yeah, so make sure to keep listening and subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media at A Holistic Dose on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube for more fun, and visit our website at aholisticdose.com. Thanks for hanging out with us. We'll be back next week with more unfiltered friend talk right here on A Holistic Dose.
See you later.
Bye.